Ah, the internet. Namely, the wristwatch lovers' corner of the internet. We're a passionate people with strong opinions that are sometimes a bit too strong. Of course, you can always find some awesome watch reviews, analysis, year-end wrap-ups. But tucked away in every comment section, there will be some very strong and controversial statements that people just like to throw into the mix. And that's what we're talking about today. Hot takes. And I love hot takes because they're guaranteed to ruffle some feathers, but I find there's usually some little grain, some little nugget of truth in there. I also just find it fun. I love people who just throw out their extremely strong controversial opinions. So today, I've collected some of my favorite hot takes from Instagram, and we're gonna rate if these are actually good hot takes or not. So here's our first one. The new IWC Ingenious is fairly priced. You know, I really like this one. If you open up YouTube and search the new IWC Ingenious, it's not very hard to find people being critical about the price of this watch, myself included. So here's the thing. This watch retails for £10,500 for the stainless steel and $12,900 in titanium, which isn't a crazy, unheard of price in the world of mid-tier luxury watch brands. I can't fully speak to this watch because I haven't seen one in person yet, which is something that I need to change because from the videos I've seen, it's a very good looking watch. Beautiful brushing on the case, soft polished edges, great looking bracelet, and of course this is a reissue of one of their most beloved watches designed by Gerald Genda. But in my humble opinion, the price is a bit punchy, and I think you're mostly paying for the case design. So powering this watch is the IWC manufacturer caliber 32111 with 120 hours of power reserve, uncommonly good, but not COSC certified, and no information is given about the accuracy on the IWC website. Another watch with this same movement, and on a bracelet as well, is the Pilot's Watch Mark 20, which retails for £5,700. And for the competition's reference point, the Rolex GMT Master 2 BLNR retails for £9,150. The Submariner Date, stainless steel, green bezel, the most expensive one you can get without going precious metal, retails for £9,100. The Rolex model closest to the Ingenious, both in function and material, would be the Datejust, which retails for £7,500. The Ingenious going for north of £10,000. It's a bit punchy. I think it's a really special model, probably my favorite IWC watch in their modern catalog. I think they smashed it in the design department, but I think if they went for the £8,500 price point, I don't think anyone would be complaining. If I loved it enough, I probably would pay £10,500 for it. I just wouldn't say it's fairly priced. It has a bit of a cheeky price, but I think there are people who will pay for it. I'm labeling this as a bad take. Next up, no watch is worth more than $10,000. I mean, quick and easy, this is just a bad take. I think the wording of no watch is a little bit strong here. So you're telling me that a Roger Smith OBE, this man makes 12 watches a year to a degree of excellence that is pretty rare. You think that this cannot command a $10,000 price tag? Get out of town. Get out of here. If this was no Rolex should cost more than $10,000 a year, then I think we have a conversation. But no watch, that huge blanket statement, nah. It's a bad take. Next up, this is coming from one of my faves, Fernando. Seiko has more heritage than Rolex. Completely. I think this is just factually correct. Seiko has a far more interesting and rich heritage than Rolex. Starting in 1881 with a 21-year-old opening his shop to sell and repair clocks, to 1913 with the Laurel, the first watch made in Japan, introducing the first quartz watch in 1969, and even more recently growing Grand Seiko, King Seiko, Creedor. Seiko heritage is longer and far more robust than Rolex. I know it's fun to knock Rolex and bring Rolex down a peg, but they reached a height of popularity and brand awareness in watches that no other brand has ever done before. And for that reason, I can't help but respect them as a brand. Okay, next, the Tissot PRX 35mm Spaceman and Dialicious concept is the best drop so far from IFL watches. So this hot take is from me, and I have no regrets. This is the new Tissot PRX Spaceman concept from IFL, and this is the Dialicious concept. Just dropped today, December 27th, and they're sponsoring today's video. Looking at these, they are so IFL, taking their signature paint dials and adding even more fun to it. Both of these watches are hand-painted by IFL's in-house artists, using durable enamel paints, and they really are wearable pieces of art. So we've got the Spaceman over here, set on the dark blue Tissot PRX Quartz 35, and the Dialicious with the donut and the ice cream. The Dialicious feels particularly feel-good summertime to me. If you're not as familiar with the Tissot PRX 35, these have a case size of 35mm, a thickness of 9.6 mil, a case material of stainless steel, 100 meters of water resistance, and a Swiss quartz movement. On the wrist, these were absolutely dreamy. And yeah, they're just a spot of fun. And shouldn't watches and watch collecting be fun? These both retail for €1,090, and if you like these, if these are speaking to you, go over to my description. In the first line, you should see a link that will take you right to these, so IFL knows I sent you. Even if you just want to go see what else IFL has on tap, go click that link. Absolutely love these, and a big thank you to IFL for sponsoring this video. Go check them out. Okay, next hot take, Mark's watches. I can always rely on him for a good hot take. I would rather have a Hublot Classic Fusion over an Omega. Mark. Are you trying to get me crucified by the Omega fanboys? Guys, I didn't say this. Mark said this. But I do kind of see where he's coming from on this. Hear me out here. For one, the Classic Fusion is the best looking Hublot, and if you made me buy an Hublot, this would be the one. It really remedies everything I don't like about the brand. These aren't garish or overly busy, although the 38mm, the one that I like, does house the Hub 111 Zero movement, which is Hublot secretly trying to hide the fact that this is a Sellita SW300-1 base caliber, which isn't my favorite. I don't mind that it's a Sellita, I just mind that Hublot tries to hide that it is through a caliber name. But I do have to give it up. These are a really lovely wear. I would describe them as almost a more elegant wear than most Omega watches feel on the wrist. Omega watches often feel clunky, chunky, tooly, which is great and it has its place. But Mark, even though I don't agree, I can see where you're coming from, and I feel like a Classic Fusion would really suit you. But I can't sign off on this being a good take. It's a hot take. It's definitely a hot take, but I'm not sure if it's a good take. Next hot take, endless price rises and false scarcity is boring and is turning people away from high end. Now I feel like this one's really interesting, and I'm curious to see how this plays out in the next year. For the first half, I completely agree. Endless price rises and false scarcity is boring, and it's a part of watch collecting that I don't enjoy. But is it turning people away from the high end? Let's talk about an annoying watch brand, and the watch brand that comes to mind when we talk about these things. Rolex. Probably one of the first brands that come to mind if you hear someone say manufactured scarcity and price rises. Also, I've heard through the grapevine there's going to be a 10% price rise for Rolex in the new year. So hold on to your knickers, folks. But Rolex, every year, keeps posting better numbers. According to the Morgan Stanley Watch Report, Rolex sold 1.2 million watches in 2022 and have an implied market share of 29.2%. That's 200,000 more watches than they sold in 2021. But I really think this next year, 2024, will be the real test. The chaos of the pandemic has ended. The bubble is deflating, and I think we'll be seeing if this is really true in the next couple years. On the whole, I'm saying this is a good take. Let's do some rapid fires. Normal people don't care about the things watch YouTubers harp on about. Yes, this is true, but I don't think many watch YouTube channels exist for normal people. These are mostly entertainment channels for turbo geeks. Watch YouTube is niche and exists to deep dive on watches, and yeah, normal people don't really care about that, so good take, I suppose. The 50 Fathoms is extremely overrated by today's standards. At least the sub looks good. Ooh, you went there. I wish I disagreed. I feel like paying lip service to the 50 Fathoms is essential. It's become this litmus test. But I really don't think it's for everyone. The proportions are pretty beefy, and I just can't ever see myself wearing one. It's a watch you have to respect for its dive watch heritage. I just wish Blancpain would modernize the proportions a little bit, like the case diameter and the thickness. Also, the price is a lot. Watch dealers wearing their wares as if it's theirs is so unprofessional. That one kind of rhymed. Wearing their wares as if it's theirs. But you know, I can't disagree. I've always thought this, and I've always completely agreed with this. I just always thought if I gave someone my watch to sell, and then they're wearing it everywhere and they're filming it, and I'd be really irritated by that. Please don't do that. I'm hoping to sell this in a certain condition, and I don't need you walking around wearing it as if it's yours and dinking it around and stuff. I don't know. I've always thought this was really unprofessional and weird to do. Good hot take. Okay, last one. Cartier discontinued their best watch, the Roadster. Okay, I know this one isn't going to make me any friends because the Roadster is a darling of watch fam, but I can't agree with this one. Cartier discontinued a really great watch in the Roadster. I can get behind that. But their best watch? No. I know this watch has such a cult following and a cult love, but I'd imagine this was just a business decision. I don't see many people wearing the Roadster. When I go to different watch meetup events, I've never seen someone bring a Roadster. I don't even see many of it on Watch Instagram. Now, popularity doesn't necessarily mean best, but I just still wouldn't say this was the best watch in the Cartier catalog. Hey guys, Editing Brit here. Now, I feel like I'm being a bit hasty here. Upon reflection, it's a pretty freaking awesome Cartier. I still wouldn't say it's the best though. It's freaking awesome. And I'm wearing my Santos while I edit this, so just had to highlight that one. If they discontinued the Tank, now to me, that would probably be discontinuing their best watch, or the Santos. But what the best watch is so subjective. But I don't think I can say this one's a good a good take. Okay, I think we've ruffled enough feathers today. I think we've upset enough people today. I'd love to hear in those comments, do you think I got anything wrong? I'm sure I have. I'd love to hear all your thoughts, opinions, everything in those comments down below. If you have any hot takes, if you liked this video, you want to see more of them, drop some of your hot takes down below, your controversial ones, and we can do this all over again. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you to IFL for sponsoring this video. And let's thank the gorgeous, fabulous, wonderful Pope tier patrons. Hello, gorgeous, fabulous, wonderful Pope tier patrons. If your name is on this screen right now, you're one of the real ones, all right? Yes. Thank you to the gorgeous, fabulous, wonderful Pope tier patrons who support this channel. Thank you all tier patrons. You're all the best. But big special, notable shout out to the Pope tier patrons. Love you guys. Hope you had the best Christmas ever. And we're now in that weird week between Christmas and New Year where time doesn't exist and you just eat cheese. Maybe that's just me. Thank you, patrons.